the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society. And now, the end is near.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome into our Saturday Night Live programs here on the Six Screens Telenetwork. Well, we appreciate your presence tonight, and we have a program with Fran and Joe. They're former Jehovah's Witnesses out of New York, and we're glad to have them part of our Six Screens Network team here. And they do have a guest on tonight, and I'll have them introduce her. But we thank you for coming in. This is their second program now called The Outside Story. So we know what the inside story is. Now we want to hear the outside story. So I'm going to bring Fran and Joe in, and then they can bring in their guest. Hello, Fran and Joe.
Hello.
So hello, there you are. There you are. So should we bring a guest on now, or you want to brag about her?
Well, Marisa is someone who is on the outside, and she's bringing some very healthy thinking and healthy practices that we need to make a new story, an outside story.
Well, let's bring her in. So we now have Marisa in with us, and I'll step out of the scene, and I'm here if you need me.
Okay, great. Thanks,
you,
Rick. Hi, Marisa.
Hi, Marisa.
Hi. Hi, guys.
We're here. You know, Marisa, right now, if you want to give a little bit of your background, you can. Or if you want to do it later, we can do it later. Either way. But first,
I'm open to do whatever you guys want.
Okay. Well, at this point, why don't I just run through some of the differences between inside thinking versus the outside thinking. How about that?
Okay. Sounds good.
So first, Fran and I are going to run through everything or many of the thinking process that we had as witnesses, just as a review. And then you're going to be helping us with healthy outside thinking that we all need for our new story. Okay?
Okay. Sounds great.
Okay. Here we go. Now, what's the big deal about going to the meetings, reading the Bible, and praying? What's the point about that?
Well, that's where we get Jehovah's blessing. I mean, how can we live? I mean, how can we do anything if we don't go to the meetings, if we don't read our Bible, if we don't pray?
Yeah.
We would never seek outside help. We got everything we need at the meetings.
That's supposed to fix everything.
That's it.
That's supposed to fix everything. Okay. Mental health professionals? Nah, maybe. We'll talk about that later. Now, what about worldly people?
Worldly people, they're bad. We're not supposed to hang out with worldly people.
Well, who do we involve ourselves with then?
Only the friends at the Kingdom Hall.
Oh, that's why we go to so many meetings.
Yes.
I see.
Yes.
I see.
And you have to be careful because some of the Jehovah's Witnesses are bad associations.
So you have to be very careful.
Yes.
So we have to exercise critical judgment even with friends.
Yes.
Or associates.
Yes.
Okay, I get it. Or we won't have Jehovah's blessing.
That's right.
Now, friend, I know you know your place as a woman.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
I don't want to display any independent thinking. You know what happened when Eve started thinking and didn't check with Adam.
You did that once or twice too, and you know how that turned out.
Oh boy, it did it.
Excuse me 1 second. I'm just going to come in here. We did get a caller. Joe, I'm going to try to get you closer to your microphone.
You want us closer?
We can hear you, but it'd be best to come closer so we can hear you real good.
Okay.
Come as close as you can, and also Marisa, so we can get good, so people can really hear you. They're really intently listening in. Good, thank you.
Okay, great.
How about now?
Better? 111?
That's a little better. Yep.
Okay, thank you. We'll try.
Make sure this is turned on. Okay, we're still on?
Hello?
Go ahead. You're on, Marisa?
I'm here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Well, I guess Joe and Fran just disappeared, but just hang on here. They kind of, but I'll bring them back on here in a second. Okay.
We're here.
Okay, here we
going
are.
Nowhere.
All right. All right, you're all set.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Rick.
you.
Important to know your place.
Yes, it is. I don't want to be like Eve. She was selfish. She showed independent thinking. I do not want to do that. You know, women don't have a brain.
Weaker
So
vessel.
I'm the weaker
I see.
vessel, and
Okay.
I have to check with you on everything.
Okay. Okay, you're doing a wonderful part.
Thank you.
Okay. Now look, I know we have new things to do with our family life. There's always something coming up. I think it's a good idea to check with the elders with everything.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I always go to the elders if
Well,
I have any
I do
questions.
too, even as
You
a
know, and if you're
brother.
doing anything, I go to them and I say, now, is Joe supposed to do that? I don't. Please help me with this. Okay.
We'll see how that turns out. Now, you did a good job on your part the other night. I really have to commend you for
Oh,
that. friend.
no. All praise and honor goes to Jehovah. I cannot take any credit for it.
Okay.
I prayed about it. I worked very hard, but it was Jehovah
Yeah.
that blessed me.
All right. Well, that's so good. Otherwise, I don't know what you would be able to do.
Is that humble?
I hope so.
Okay, good.
Okay. Now, in our day-to-day life, we have to involve ourselves with other people. What do you think about your involvement with those outside people?
Oh, they're the worldly people. They're
Yeah.
bad. Oh, I don't
Oh.
do much with them, other than what we have to do.
Yeah. They have no peace, do they?
No, they have no peace.
No.
No, they're in the world.
No.
How could they have
No,
peace?
they can't. Well, so I have to be very careful. Now, we have some nice friends, and you have to be careful with the way you do things around them, don't you think? The
yes.
way you dress,
Yes.
wear your hair,
Yes.
your shoes.
Yes, I don't want
everything.
to stumble
No,
anyone.
no. You have to be very careful.
Yes. And we have to put ourselves last.
Yeah. It will be blessed for that.
Yes, we will.
And that goes too with the activities that we have for the family, for my type of work that I do, vacation, new things that come up, priorities, prioritize.
Yep.
What comes first?
The kingdom.
Always.
Always.
Kingdom
Even
interest
when
first.
we're on vacation,
That's
we
right.
always go to the meetings.
Yeah. Kingdom interest first.
Yep.
Okay. Now, just recently, I know you.
I know you were going to bring this up. Okay.
Yoga.
Yes. I'm doing yoga for seniors.
Okay. Yoga for
What?
seniors. You have to be very careful.
Oh,
do I? The society brought out that the very powerful spiritistic content.
Oh my
to
goodness, I don't want to do anything that's spiritistic.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll stop the yoga.
Okay. A nice walk would be good.
Okay,
That's
all
it.
right. I'll walk when I'm out in service. I'll get my exercise.
Now,
out
we
in
don't
service.
have pets.
No, we don't.
You know why?
Yes, they're too expensive.
Society. Well, and we've been warned. Society's
Yes.
warned us not to spend too many times with pets.
But it's right. They take a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I noticed that they add so much to people's lives,
I
but
know.
somehow the society feels that it's not that important.
No, it isn't. No.
Okay, but it's their view. It's important. And the most important thing that we could possibly do with our time.
It's go out in service. We're saving people's lives.
Yes. Yeah. I would hate to think that we were blood guilty.
Oh, not me too.
No,
I would
this
never want to be blood guilty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Well, we need room in our mind for a new way of thinking. And because we're not on the inside anymore, are we? Fran?
No, we're not. We've left that out.
So we're going to have to shift our thinking. Because if we don't shift our thinking, we're going to be out of, we're not going to find success in being outside that organization.
That's true.
And I know Marisa was going to share with us, because I know she's been outside and she's
Yeah, we can learn some things from her.
yes.
Yeah.
For example, and Marisa, if we can bring you in on this, please help us.
Sure.
The meetings. I mean, what could be more helpful than that? Reading about what else is there?
Well, there's a lot that we can do outside of the meetings. Um, there are professionals who have spent a lot of their time, energy, and their resources to help those who are having problems with depression and anxiety. In fact, today's meeting touched on how anxious some of Jehovah's Witnesses are. And really, one of the best things that you can do is invest yourself and love yourself, really, because a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses and ex-Jehovah's Witnesses are hurting, and meetings and reading the Bible doesn't fix everything. So one of the biggest things you can do is not be afraid to ask for help. There are so many people around you that are willing to help you, especially those that are in the XJW community.
I agree. In fact, we're gonna shift into our outside personalities now, and say that we have found the most loving people in that outside community, as well as in the X community, as well as with professionals. That they're some very caring people, and I regret that we didn't meet them sooner. So I would
I
encourage
agree.
everybody to seek them, seek people that love you. And if you don't initially find that right person, just look for another one. There's a lot of people out there for us.
Yeah, so this kind of goes into the next part, Marisa, about worldly people are bad and we mustn't make friends with them. What do you think?
Well, I believe that I know that there are so many good people that are not Jehovah's Witnesses. I also know that there's a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses that are good people. But being a Jehovah's Witness, we've been taught to fear worldly people and to actually judge them or prejudge them and put them in a box and make them bad. And so when we begin to make friends with people who have different viewpoints than we do, have different beliefs, it challenges our mind. It helps us to feel more connected with really our community. And studies show that people who feel more connected with their communities have a healthier mindset.
Yeah.
So if we can embrace those connections with our neighbors, people we go to school, at work, we're going to be a lot happier instead of viewing them as bad or even just worldly.
I agree. I agree. In fact, what I say, be ready to discover some of the nicest people and circumstances that you ever have, because that's what we're finding. It's out there. It's not in. It's out there. And once you've discovered one, a relationship like that, you realize you've been missing so much.
For sure. That is so true.
Yeah. And our thinking. You talked about critical thinking as opposed to just being listening to someone. What about critical thinking?
Well, one of the things that we have been taught in the organization is to just obey. In fact, in today's lesson, one of the comments was made, or I don't know if it was in a paragraph, to just obey even if something doesn't make sense.
Boy, they keep
This is
saying that, don't they?
Yeah, it's really what they're trying to do is override your critical thinking and hoping that you don't even have critical thinking in the first place. And that's what happens when you're sitting at a meeting where you're not paying attention. Your mind is numb because you're bored to death, really. And so one of the best things we can do if we're starting to feel like this isn't right and we're at the meetings is to start reading, educate yourself. If you can go to college or at least take one course, and if you can't afford that, go to the library. There's so many books at the library, and they're free. So anybody can get a library card and start to educate yourself so that you can develop critical thinking, so you don't fall victim to somebody who's trying to basically indoctrinate you,
That's
which
right.
means wanting you to do what they want you to do.
That's right. That's right. That's right. We, our beauty as humans is that we have that ability to think. Some say we're animals. Well, maybe we are animals, but we're humans. We're not plants. We're not vegetables. We're human beings. And the image that we have is that of being able to think. And we want to develop that. It has to be developed. We're not going to automatically do it. If we want to learn how to think better, listen to other people who think.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to people who discuss things, even if we don't understand them. That helps me.
Mm-hmm.
That helps me. I constantly do that.
Helps me too. Helps me too, Joe.
And, we talked about the role of women, our place, your place, their place. What do you have to say about that, Marisa?
I believe that one of the most powerful things that women can do in the organization for themselves is to remind themselves that they matter, that they have a voice, because they've been told that they really shouldn't speak, they shouldn't teach when it comes to in front of the congregation. They have a place. And all the decisions that are made in that organization are made by men. Sure, the women get to be a large army preaching and doing the nitty-gritty work. But when it comes to decisions that affect policy and affect people's lives, they are to be silent. And so we have to, as women, now that we're on the out, we want to challenge ourselves to speak up, even if it goes against our grain. I know for me that was very difficult. And we also want to be respectful when we speak to people, because we don't want to bulldoze over people when we have different views. But as we do this, we're going to notice that it's going to inspire us. We're going to feel more confident in speaking. And it's okay for us to have a different viewpoint than a man. In the organization, we were taught if a man told you to do something, you did it, even if it wasn't right. So I think what really helped me in this regard was to seek out women who had found their voice. And by that, I mean watching programs where women were the hosts and reading books that women wrote, watching interviews with women, really educating myself with what women have done to make things better for their community. And one of my favorite professors right now at the moment, she's a doctor of psychology, and she wears a lot of hats in the community here in Southern California. I'm going to come out and say it. She's an inspiration to me personally and all of her students. And everybody can find women that inspire them, and they're out there. And then once we're inspired by someone else, guess what? We might be able to inspire someone too and help them.
So true. In fact, any student of history finds out that so many cultures really were matriarchies, where the women actually were the ones that selected the leaders. It was them that selected leaders. They determined policy for whether or not they would either go to war, wage peace, or what they would do. They were the ones that brought about life, and they were respected
That's so
for
amazing.
that. Yeah. So we are literally designed for each other, to support each other.
Yes.
Marisa, I think you mentioned something about after you got married at the Kingdom Hall, and the elders, they had known you for a while. What happened?
So yeah, it was really a kind of a shock to my sense and sensibility, because I'd been single for so long. And so I had a relationship with the brothers, and when I got married, they started asking my husband how I was doing. And
Yeah.
if it was odd because I was there. So, and even if I wasn't there, they had my number. They could have called me to see how I was doing. So just the whole arrangement of always channeling all communication through the head or the man, it really reinforced in me that I didn't have a voice, that I didn't have a place in the organization to speak my mind or to even tell people how I felt when I was present.
Yeah.
So talk about feeling small and
Mhm.
becoming invisible
Yeah.
in a room. It's no wonder that there are so many women in the organization that suffer, oftentimes with domestic abuse,
Mhm.
and they don't feel like they have a place to, they don't have anybody on their side because the man says everything. So it's really
Mhm.
dangerous for women in this organization. And so finding your voice is really, really important. And it can really help with your mental health. I mean, thankfully, I didn't have that problem, but I know others that have.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. In fact, see, the things that we're actually discussing here or comparing here is the difference between what's actually toxic
Mhm.
and what's healthy, life-giving. There,
Exactly.
there, there's no middle ground. If something's toxic, it's toxic. Um, there, there's a need for the healthy, and it's out there. It's not in there. It's out there. And what I constantly monitor myself is for any thoughts that I have that sound like they came from the organization. I, I have to be conscious of that, and I have to analyze that. I don't want to um, uh, think or employ or subscribe or act on any of those type of thinking. It's toxic.
Yeah, I think an example of that is like calling it the truth. Like sometimes you'll just be talking and you'll say, "Oh, well, when I came in
Yeah,
the truth." And
yeah,
it's like, "No, when I came in the organization, when I came in, that cult, whatever else, but it's not the truth." So
yeah,
we have to
yeah,
really listen to ourselves
yeah,
because you know, it, you could be still thinking that way without realizing it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we have to really be conscious about what
Yes.
we say, and it's hard because it's in our blood,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
so we really want to check ourselves,
Mhm. Right. This is where we exercise the right to be what we are.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the society wanted to make us good for nothing slaves. We are not good for
hmm
nothing slaves. We're
hmm
human beings, and frankly, we're of the divine. We're of God's image. We need to actually cultivate that. Um, uh, how about taking credit for our work? Is that arrogant of us? Is that prideful if we take credit for our achievements? What do you think?
Absolutely not. In fact, it it's beautiful when you see an artist that you really come to know through their work, whatever kind of
Mm-hmm.
art it is. You always see their name at the bottom, and it isn't
Mm-hmm.
because they're arrogant, it's because they're proud of the time that they took to make this beautiful piece that they're sharing with the world. And so when we take time and energy to create something or to do something, build a home or make whatever it is that we're doing, make a cake, our accomplishments really are to be celebrated. And and that is healthy. Every single person on the planet have something beautiful and unique, useful. Every one of us does. Um, and we want to share that with the world. If we work really hard in our brains to replace "you're no good slave," right? You're not worthy,
Mm-hmm.
with "I am special," we reinforce that, and we have to because we've been fed this propaganda at all the meetings, right? In the literature that we're good for nothing, that we shouldn't take, credit for anything. All credit goes to the creator. If we don't do that consciously, subconsciously we might start to undermine some of our goals that we're making for ourselves. I
Yes.
know when I first started going to school, I've been told by friends, you should go to school to be a therapist, a psychologist. For years, my family's been telling me, and I didn't feel worthy. I didn't feel like I could because I was
Mhm.
constantly fed information that told me it wasn't valuable for me to do it and I wasn't worthy. And once I started going to school, the teachers and the students were celebrating me.
Mm.
And I was like, wow, this is so exciting.
Yeah.
I would get feedback from the teachers. Oh my gosh, this is beautiful. You know, I'm so proud of you, or whatever. And let's try to do this better, or whatever it is. It really helped me feel better about myself and my
Mhm.
journey. And every one of us has that gift that we can pay it forward, so to speak, with our
Mhm.
gifts.
So that's a so so I want to get this right now. So we can be proud of our achievements.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
and the other side of that too is I can be interested in someone else's achievements
Mhm.
that they're proud of.
Absolutely. We want to celebrate each other.
Yeah.
And thereby,
Absolutely.
yeah, and that draws each other closer to each other. And we're not being haughty with each other. We're not being bragging.
Mhm.
It's proud of achievements, and it helps build each other up.
And that inspires us.
Yeah.
We need to be inspired. So
And
you know,
everybody's
yeah,
got achievements.
yeah.
I don't care what it
Oh, for
is.
sure. For
Everybody has some
sure.
achievements. They're all valuable.
Mhm.
They're all valuable. No judgment. They're all valuable.
Isn't that exciting, guys, when we left the community to see all of these people who were wounded, because we've all been hurt, right?
Yep.
But
Mhm.
who are now celebrating, and whether they're artists or
It doesn't
musicians or
matter.
they go on to, isn't it
Mhm.
like
Doesn't
so
matter.
exciting to see them
It is.
embrace
Yeah.
It
themselves?
really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. So now, the people that we look at in the world, I'm not going to call them worldly people, but that's what they would be said. But people.
How about people?
Well, what
Yeah.
about people? What's your view of people, Marissa?
Oh man. Before I was afraid of them, but now I realize that these people are lovely. So many of the people that I see around me are lovely. There's doctors, there's EMTs, there's people who are feeding the homeless regularly, tirelessly, effortlessly. There's police officers, there's nurses. The list is endless, really.
Mhm.
And I remember in 2013 when the bomb went off
Mhm.
in
Yes.
2013.
Oh yeah.
I
Yes.
remember seeing Mr. Rogers being interviewed, and they'd asked him what to tell children when an event that's horrific and scary happens to help them to feel safe in the world. And Mr. Rogers said that his mom had told him when he was unsettled by an event like that to look for the helpers.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so most of the people that we're taught in the organization that are bad, that we that are worldly as we were taught, they're good people. They're actually good, and we have to work consciously to retrain our brain and tell ourselves that they are good and that they are helping. And we see them everywhere we go, and one of my favorite sayings is if you change the lenses with which you see the world, you'll change the world. So
Mhm.
we want to change those lenses so we're not in this constant state of fear and obligation and guilt. FOG, isn't that the acronym that's used to
Yes.
describe how we were when we were in the organization?
You're telling me it's going to take a little effort, Marissa.
It takes it takes more than a little. It takes a lot because we've been traumatized. A
Okay.
lot of us have been.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
true. So
Okay.
true.
So what I would say is that don't be discouraged if things aren't automatic. They're not automatic. And
Excellent. Yes.
be encouraged that others have done it. Others are doing it.
Mhm.
And if our eyes are on them, well, we can pick up on how to do it. We'll do.
Excellent. That's a really good point. I like that.
Well, worried about appearances.
Yeah,
Um,
like stumbling
yeah,
somebody.
yeah, yeah. Do I have to always worry about that?
Well, that's something that a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses are hypersensitive about, and that's how everybody else sees things. And it really creates a sense of anxiety, to feel like you're always being watched, you know. Do you guys remember the body snatchers? Remember how
Yeah.
do you remember how they would open their mouth and point? That's what I always felt like if I was doing something that I wasn't supposed to be doing. That was innocuous, not like it was a sin. But
Right.
one time I was at the Kingdom Hall and I was pioneering and my feet were hurting, and I had, nice little heel sandals on, and I removed them from my feet, and boy, did I get in trouble for that. Somebody came up to me and said, I put my feet on top of my sandals, so it's not like I was walking around. We were just sitting listening to the talk, and my feet were hurting. And so it doesn't matter what you do, someone's watching you. And so we develop this sense of worrying about what other people think constantly. And sometimes it's at the loss of our own feelings, right? We put our own feelings aside, our own comfort, our own health, well-being. So we want to learn and retrain our brain to honor our feelings, to listen to our gut, to be kind to ourselves, because if something doesn't feel right to us, then we need to figure out why it doesn't feel right, and then be okay with setting boundaries with others and saying no to things that we're not comfortable with so that we don't get hurt.
So these boundaries, you're talking about setting boundaries for ourselves. You mean I should watch what's affecting me? I have the right to defend it?
Absolutely, you have the right. It's it's your body, it's your life, and no one, absolutely nobody, has the right to make you feel uncomfortable or to harm you.
And that carries with it too the opposite. We would be concerned about not offending them with their boundaries as well. There's a
Of
balance.
exactly,
It's a
exactly.
balance. And when you realize that, we realize, we're all in the same boat together. Why would I want to make anyone feel any more uncomfortable than I would want to feel?
Well, and sometimes it's interesting you bring that up, because sometimes that's the psychology that's used to control you.
Yeah.
So for example, if you're wearing something, it's making me uncomfortable. So a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses become so hypersensitive that they make it all about their feelings. Well, Fran, I don't like, that you have gray hair. It reminds me that I'm going to get older and have gray hair. Can you just dye it? Well, now, see, that's
Oh
where
my goodness.
we're encroaching, right, on someone
Yeah.
else's. But
Yeah.
so many witnesses, even in the last regional convention, we had that the gal, I don't know if you guys saw a little bit of it, and she was selling some jewelry
Oh
on some sort of
yes.
social
Oh
network.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a big
Yes.
hubbubalub about,
Oh yeah.
she was selling her,
Yes.
and well, ultimately at the end of the day, it was her right to sell this jewelry, and the congregation gets involved in everybody
Oh,
else's business
Mm,
because
yes.
mm.
maybe they're jealous because she's, so there is a fine line between respecting other people's sensibilities and beyond, where someone's just being nutty.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have that opportunity to actually, we discover the person in ourselves. We discover the person in front of us, and it's going to be new. It's going to be different, and in most cases, I'm going to say it. We find it enjoyable.
Yeah.
We didn't find that
No, we did not.
inside
No.
at all.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yoga.
Yeah, can I do yoga, Marissa?
You can do yoga if you want to. Yoga for seniors, I think, is a great idea.
Yeah,
There's a
it
lot of
really is.
stretching,
It is.
listening. Yeah, I think it's great. But again, it's really what Fran wants to do, right? How does Fran feel? Does she like it? Does it make her feel comfortable? Is she safe when she goes? Does it make her feel stronger and more empowered? So one of the things I observed in the organization was that the Watchtower, the organization doesn't want you to listen to your body. That's a lot of what yoga is, and it's listening to your body. Does this feel good? And stretching and really making yourself strong, right?
Yeah.
It helps you to keep in tune with your body and to not ignore something that might need attention. And that's something, again, the organization wants you to ignore everything. Just do what we tell you to do. We know you're tired on Saturday morning. Get up and go in service.
Yeah.
Pummel your body and lead it as a slave. Isn't that something we heard?
Yes.
And
yes.
so a slave doesn't listen to its body. A slave listens to its owner.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's going to get whipped. We don't have to do that. If yoga feels good to us, or we prefer Zumba, or we prefer bike riding, or we prefer a walk at the park, we get to do what feels good and what empowers us and helps us to remain healthy so we can have a happy, joyful life now.
Yeah. What was that scripture they always used about something training is good for a little?
Bodily training.
Bodily
training is
training.
good for a little. In other words, don't overdo it. Don't, spend too much time on it. But you really, it makes us healthier. And when we're healthier, we're happier people and we can give to others. So really, it's not selfish at all, taking care of ourselves.
You know what
Well,
I think?
yeah, for sure.
You know what I think?
What?
I think they're afraid of us.
Mm.
I think they're afraid of the abilities that we have. And they've done or tried to do everything they could to squelch, to hide, get us to turn those abilities off. Now we get the opportunity to turn them on and to discover them and to help each other discover them. Because we're gonna see those abilities in each other. They're not gonna see someone's gonna see that in me. I'm not gonna see it. I'm gonna see it in them that they're not gonna see in themselves. We get a chance to let them know that.
Yeah.
That's so true.
That builds everybody up.
For sure.
Well, pet ownership, there was another one.
What about pets?
This was something that really it hurt my heart. I don't remember the year at the convention, but the brother brought out that we wanted to be very careful with how much time we spent, because there are some pet owners that are just a little over the top. So, they, heaven forbid, we come home to an animal that loves us unconditionally, right? We wouldn't want that. But really, there's so many studies that remind us that having pets, whatever it is, a cat, a guinea pig, a horse, a dog, it really does help with mental health. And in fact, a lot of there's horse therapy. I don't know if you guys for war veterans and for people who have disabilities, and so there's a lot of studies that show the symbiotic relationship that we have with animals and how they can help heal us, not only emotionally but physically. They can really help us. And so this idea that spending too much time with pets and is just poppycock. And when we see and feel a connection with another being that lifts us up, and we spend time enjoying the company of that little critter, we're more joyful, we're happier. Again, we're more connected. And it's really cool is when you see other pet owners, if you have a cat, you bond with them.
They do.
That's right.
They do.
Somebody has a cat. I have a cat too. What does your cat do? That's why all those videos go viral, because people,
know, that's true.
they connect.
So that might be a good strategy for getting out and meeting people. If you have a difficulty, if you have a pet, go out to a pet park where
exactly.
and
strike up a conversation.
Those pets
People
provide
love to
the
talk.
pathway to conversation.
People love to talk
exactly.
about their pets.
Yeah,
for
Joey,
sure. And that's a good idea. I
Oh,
was just going to say like cat cafes too. There's cat
oh,
cafes. There's
really?
pet
Say,
That's
right.
expos.
funny.
Yeah, there are cat cafes. There's
We're
all
not on the
sorts of
West Coast.
places.
I didn't
You know, I think I saw them in Japan and other countries. I'm
Wow,
not
Wow.
sure if they're out
Yeah.
here, but yeah.
that is
Yeah, there's
funny.
See
just
that?
places where we can connect with people that are like-minded,
Wow.
because we are, as Jehovah's Witnesses, when we leave the organization, unfortunately, we are stunted with making friends.
Yes, there.
There's a lot of us are, not
Marissa,
everybody.
you just opened my world up. Thank you. I didn't know that. What
Oh,
We
about?
have a hard time. We do,
mhm.
because we were automatically friends with everybody in the Kingdom Hall.
Yes,
They were our brother and
yes,
Yeah.
sister. So
yep.
we didn't really know how to make friends because we
No,
were
no,
told
no.
those were your friends.
Mandatory friends.
Hmm.
Mandatory.
Yes.
Right, right. So really
When,
delve into who
yeah,
you
when
are
I,
and what you like.
yeah, when Joe and I recently visited the college that I went to, and at the time it was a 2-year college, and now it's grown to a 4-year college, and they're the only college in the country
Yeah.
that do the dogs, and for like the blind and for police dogs, they train them. There's a name for it.
Yeah.
Canine. Canine. It's a whole major. You can
Yeah.
major in it.
Be-
So it's a really cool
Really?
thing.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I
Because of
was
the
really
powerful way
surprised.
that they're using animals,
Yes.
dogs, in the lives of people.
Yep.
They're not just
What
pets.
college was that?
It's called Cobleskill.
Cobleskill.
It's
Yeah.
in New York State,
Yeah.
and it's just
Wow.
yeah. That was one thing we did once we got out,
Yeah.
because I never went back to the college that I went to, and it was like 52 years ago. It's like, wow. And then I really felt old.
Wow.
No, it was
Well,
Wow,
nice. It
that's
was
pretty
good to do
cool.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really special.
the last topic that we can give some perspective to, and before we open it up to the other friends,
Yes.
because we want to do that, how responsible are we individually to save the lives of people that we don't know?
Yeah. Blood guilty if we
Yeah.
don't go
How responsible? I
door to
mean,
door.
how responsible?
Well, I don't know how you guys felt, but I always had a tremendous amount of anxiety related to the preaching work. And so everywhere I went, I had tracts in my purse, and it didn't matter. And I felt if I didn't talk to somebody, that Jehovah was going to um, not smile down his approval on me, but rather I'd have a few strikes against me. So it was a lot of pressure
Oh,
that
that's
was
right.
put
Yes.
on me, and it kind of took away took away a lot of my joy. So we're not responsible for anybody's
Right.
salvation.
That's right.
That's between them and whoever they choose to serve, whether it's Christ or whatever religion or not religion they decide.
Mm-hmm.
We're
Mm-hmm.
not responsible for them.
Mm-hmm.
We
No.
if we believe in a God of love, which I do, I believe in a God of love, everything's going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not related to whether or not I speak to somebody. I think that's kind of a little presumptuous on my part to assume that I can save the world, because I can't.
Right.
That's
No, so
Jesus. That's what his role is.
it's relieving. It's relieving. It really is.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Marissa. Um, I, we're not through, and because this is something that we're continuing
Mm-hmm.
to be discerning and to grow with, and to be aware of. And maybe we can open it up to anyone out there too, if anyone wants to make expression.
Anyone want to call in and either ask Marissa
Yeah.
a question, or maybe a thought that they had, or an experience they had with any of these mental health issues and being healthy on the outside?
Well, Marissa, I'll be the icebreaker here. This is Rick Farron. And then you guys just come in and hit *6 when you want to come on after me. But no, you're doing a great job, Marissa. I really mean that. A lot of people, many people come out of the Watchtower and they're not they're not hurt or damaged at all, I find. And after doing this program for 17 years, I see there's different degrees of difficulty people experience getting help. So some don't experience much problem at all, but there's others that have really been hurt, really been hurt. And I was on the phone. I was on the phone today, as a matter of fact, with a woman, that was really, really hurt. And a lot of people, they don't know how to handle it. They turn to drugs, they turn to alcohol. It's just despicable, the problems and the difficulties this cult causes for so many people. But no, that's good. You're able to come on and talk about things like that. And also being an ex-witness and working with therapy and learning more about it, you're going to be able to help so many people. Because a lot of people, one of the biggest complaints I have with people calling in that have had therapy is they go to a therapist, but most therapists have no idea how to deal with people coming out of a cult. They really don't. And it makes it, you're going to be able to help so many people because you've experienced, Marisa. So good for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That was what inspired me, to be honest with you, Rick, was my experience with therapy, because I spent a lot of time explaining some of the wackadoodle things that we'd have to go through that you wouldn't have to explain to somebody who was in, the cult.
Go ahead, hit *6. Come on, say hello to Marisa.
Hello, Marisa. I'll say something if you got a second.
Hi, yes, I'd love to hear.
Yeah, this is Michael. Okay. I don't know if you've heard my story before, but I started out as a witness from 4 years old up till I was 30. That's the only thing I ever knew in my whole life. And when I realized that this wasn't the truth, wasn't the right organization, trying to get out, there was no help groups for me. And all of a sudden, I was shunned by my family, shunned by my friends. And you know what I did? I lost my identity in who I was in Christ. I was a believer. I believed in God, but we are taught that the churches are evil, and we are taught that the people in the churches are evil. And for me, knowing only Jehovah's Witnesses, I had no place to go. And what I did is the witness organization told me I was an evil person and I shouldn't be talked to. And I lost my identity of who I was in Christ, and I believed them, not Christ. And that's where I made my big mistake. And it caused me to do a lot of crazy things and things that I'm not proud of at all. But fortunately, I got it back. That was it took a long time. It took a long time. And I was a little damaged, to tell you the truth, but was able to turn it around. One thing, two more things that you said that hit home to me, and this is in the latter. You talked about, I talked about, let's see, how did you put that? That we're unique. And one thing I did was I studied the Hebrew language, and I was always around Jewish people all my life. And one thing we learned in the Jewish faith is that the temples are never built out of brick. They're built out of stone. And there's a special reason for that. Would you happen to know that reason why?
Gosh, no, but that's fascinating. I'd love to know why, if anybody else knows.
Well, a lot of people believe, because the Jewish people make bricks and they're not going to build a temple out of brick. A lot of people, but that's not really the real reason. The real reason is that the stone cannot be replaced. A stone is when it's put into the wall, you can't just take that stone out and put back in. It's very unique in its own character. It's very unique in its own purpose. It's very unique in its own color. A brick, you can take out of the wall, you can put back in. It's no big deal. And the congregation or the temple represents the people. And we are the people. We are the congregation. We are the church.
Michael, that is so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's beautiful.
Here's the train.
We're not responsible for anybody else's salvation. When we accept Christ, we automatically do it. When we accept Christ, that is Christ in us, God in us, and we protrude that out into the world. It's not something we try to do, but our life represents God, and people see that. And in our own unique way, we do take a little bit of responsibility for people coming to Christ. So that's the only thing I'd say about that.
Yeah, by being kind to others and loving. I have a question for you, Michael. What helped you to turn around?
A little girl getting shot with a gun to her head, said she believed in God. Columbine High School.
Oh.
Yep. I sit there and happened to turn on the TV, and the newscaster said they had a gun to a girl's head and asked if she believed in God, and she said yes, and he shot her. I knew that was evil. I knew that was the devil himself. And
Oh.
got on my knees there and asked God to come into my life, and it wasn't easy. It didn't happen overnight, but it was a slow, gradual change. But I finally accepted Christ, and I learned about the true Jesus Christ, not the fake one that Jehovah's Witnesses talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, no problem. I enjoyed your show.
Thank you, Michael.
Well, why don't you hit *6? We do have a number of people on, so why don't you hit *6? Come on and say hello to Marisa and let her know that you suffered. Let her know how you felt when you got out of the Watchtower. Did you suffer from PTSD? Did you suffer some other illness that you were diagnosed with? Come on, say hello to Marisa and let her know you're listening in here tonight. And I think it'll be fantastic. Go ahead, you're on.
Hi, it's Sharon in North Carolina. Hi, Joe. Hi, Fran.
Hello.
Hi, Sharon. Nice to hear you.
Hi, Marisa. I'm doing
Hi,
well.
Sharon.
I just wanted to ask you a question, Marisa. Did you, in your psychology study, did you do any of the religious trauma?
I have not done religious trauma. No, would be the answer to that. That would be probably a master's program once I get there. But that will be my specialty.
I have some friends that have been, they've contacted me within the last 2 weeks. I had 7 different people contact me, and some of them are in therapy. And I asked them, I said, is your therapist trained in religious trauma? Because if they're not really going to be able to help you. You really need that, because even though these people weren't baptized, they were still raised in the Watchtower. And I think that the psychologist or psychiatrist, whoever's speaking with them, they need that. Because when I first left, I was in for 53 years from the age of 3. And when I first went to a psychiatrist, because I thought I was losing my mind, and they weren't trained in it. And I was helping them for the next JW that came to them. This way they knew. So I was with them maybe 3-4 months, and I just got tired of paying them for the things that I was helping them with. They should have been helping me. So I did my own kind of recovery by extensive research to wash out everything that I had learned over the 53 years. And that seemed to help me. And the people that I'm talking to now, I tell them, you have to do the research of where their history started and their roots, so that you can get over thinking that they are the truth, because they're not. And even though these people never were baptized, they still have some of that lingering, well, what if they're wrong? What if they're wrong? The people that are out. And some of these people that are talking to me with the things that I've posted on Facebook, they would ask their parents or their siblings that are in Watchtower, well, is Sharon lying with what she's posting? And they're telling her, these girls and these guys that I'm speaking to, well, no, she's not lying, but, she hasn't been part of it for a decade. And they were like, well, she's not lying, then what's the harm in me reading it? What's the harm in me looking into what she's saying? And I think that's with the religious trauma syndrome. I think that's why psychologists, they should use the masters, but I think they should put that into the program, because also people that are coming out of the Mormon and Scientology, these are things that the lingering after effects of what these religions do to people. It causes suicide. You know, and
Right. Yeah. It would fall under trauma, just so you know, Sharon. So they don't have like a program for religious trauma. It's just trauma, like PTSD. You might have a specialist who will deal with that, but they'll have to deal with other trauma as well, like abuse with, it's not, there's not one specific, but we do have some people more and more who are helping. There are a lot of coaches out there, but the psychologists and psychiatrists would have to be trained
Yeah.
in a lot of different things.
Yeah, if I can jump in here too, I agree. It's important, that the therapist needs to understand the background, but that's where the person has to do the part of the lifting themselves. They're going to have to actually prove to themselves that what they were doing wasn't right for them. Then and only then are they going to be sure. Now they can be aided or assisted. If they have a difficult time doing it, they can seek the help to do it. But it's going to be an achievement and a success for them to say, I did that. I found out. I proved it to myself. Rather
Sharon,
than
I
have
agree
it
with
dished
you.
out.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I was going to agree with Sharon that there are a lot of people who do not learn about the history. They do have a lot of the lingering effects of the trauma, which is true of any trauma, right? Because it's really hard to reopen a wound when you think it's starting to heal. And so it's painful for a lot of people to look at the history and to remind themselves they've been duped, so to speak, and deceived and lied. But if they're really going to get to the root of healing, it is wise for them to do what Joe said, and that is to do the heavy lifting themselves and to do the reading, to discover that really it's always been a lie. It's gotten worse. It's a little more, it's worse and worse with every year that passes, but it's always been based on men and their interpretations of the written word. And so they got to do the work. And if they don't, those effects are going to stay.
Yeah.
Right.
See,
I agree with that. The only thing is, when you're in the Watchtower for, some of us, decades and decades, you don't learn how to cope with anything because all the answers are already there for you. Even if they're wrong answers, they're there. And that's what I think a lot of the trauma is. You have to break away from what they're saying you have to do and learn to do for yourself. And for me, the only thing that really, really got me free was doing the research and going to the roots.
That's
I kept
it.
thinking right there, the roots, that's how you'll know what the fruit is.
Yeah.
And that's how I finally got free, knowing that it's nothing but lies. It was a potpourri of all religions, a little this, little that, and let's make one. And once you realize that, that's how you can really break free. That's how I saw it for myself. I'm going to mute now.
Yeah, Sharon, I liken it to fast food. Witnesses can be very lazy because they've been given this fast food. It's addictive. It's an addiction. Somebody telling you that you're going to live forever in paradise earth and all your problems are going to disappear and you don't have to do anything really other than what they tell you versus, really getting in the kitchen and making yourself healthy food, going to the market to buy vegetables and fruits and really filling your body with healthy stuff. It takes time. It takes a readjustment. And a lot of the people that I know that are in the organization, they don't like reading. They don't like studying. They don't want to challenge their personal beliefs because it makes them uncomfortable. And if we're uncomfortable, we avoid, right? So it's really the saying that the teacher will come when the student is ready. Everybody's got to be ready to learn, and to learn you got to get up and get moving, like Joe said.
We got a man coming in from California. We got a caller from California. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying the show. I just like the audience to know something, that a lot of servicemen come back from combat zones with PTSD, and a lot of them hadn't seen combat. Just the fact that they were in a combat zone where, you know, they could have more rockets and mortars dropped on them, or they could be sniped or booby trapped or whatever. Just the constant anxiety will give you PTSD. When you're a Jehovah's Witness, you're always concerned about Armageddon. It's going to be the most traumatic event to hit the world, and you're always anxious about it. Am I good enough? Did I do the right thing? Did I say something wrong? You're always in a state of hypervigilance, and you're always concerned about tomorrow. So Jehovah's Witnesses, I was in 20 years, and I had PTSD from the Vietnam War. The PTSD that I got from the Watchtower was 50 times worse. I kid you.
Wow. Wow.
That's amazing.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy.
So,
Crazy.
Jehovah's Witnesses out there that are listening, get a professional therapist, just
Yes.
like from North Carolina is saying, you know, get someone who knows what they're doing, not someone you have to teach how to be a psychologist with. Someone who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
And the other thing with that is you've got to pray, because if you pray, our Heavenly Father is going to direct you to the right person. I actually strongly feel that. Thank you for the program, and have a good evening.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Carl.
Wow.
Thank you for your
50
service.
times worse.
And we all put in a lot of time. There's a book on Amazon by a professional named Bonnie Zeman, and she has written a book for therapists, specifically for her clients who are witnesses, ex-witnesses. The last name is Zeman, and she's written a book for therapists. She's written another one that has a workbook. And for me, reading Visions of Glory at the library for free, it's free online. Way back in the day, we didn't have a show like this. And
Right.
that's still a terrific book from Barbara Harrison, who was with the writing department. So I wish you all the best and stay present.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pixie. Nice hearing you.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi, this is Constance. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. I really enjoy your show. I have my undergraduate degree in social work as well, so I really appreciate the show very much. I was going to say one thing that the JWs really suffer from is the anxiety. And, you know, I've been out of the organization almost 40 years now, thank goodness. But one thing that the JWs always focus on is, you know, the future, the new system. And they don't live for today, which is really sad. They're never in the present moment. They're always giving up today, which is such a beautiful gift from our Creator, and focusing on the future. And that's their mindset. And in the meantime, they're wasting years and years of their life. So, you know, it all begins with them trying to retrain. I mean, like Sharon said, and by the way, hi, sis. The thing is that, you know, people have to do their research on the organization, but they have to change their mindset so that they can really, truly enjoy today. Because, you know, once you lose even just one day, but, you know, say 10, 20, 30, 50 years, you know, you never can get that back. Never. You can't even get yesterday back. So it's very important for people. I heard just the very beginning of what you said, where people really need to focus in on loving themselves in a very healthy way. Watchtower makes that sound like it's so evil. But, you know, when you really do absolutely learn to love yourself in a very healthy way, then you're able to really love other people and have healthy relationships, healthy marriages, healthy families, healthy communities. But it all has to start with each of us learning to love ourselves. And Watchtower steals that from everybody. So I just say thank you so much for this day tonight.
You know, I'm just going to reinforce it, everything that folks are saying. It seems like every time our worldview is shattered or it's upset, it compels us to have to learn deeper. it upsets us. I thought this, I thought that. Why is this? This shouldn't be that way. What's going on? I don't understand. I'm confused. I'm upset. That's the point where deeper learning is required. And there's no way around it. There's absolutely no way around our need for deeper learning at that point. And some are ready to do that. Some are geared for it. They desire that. Others of us aren't interested in learning, but they need to. We need to. And that's where we help each other. We can spot when someone needs deeper learning, and as we help, they'll appreciate it. It makes everybody feel good. And I hope that, deeper learning is not only taking place tonight, but that it inspires people to go on to do that. It's the thing that we do best as humans, is learning. We do that best.
I had a comment.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. A couple calls back, there was somebody saying different ways to get over getting out of the religion and everything. And the way I got over it is I threw away all my literature. I had literature I inherited my grandma's. I had stuff back from the 50s. I had studies in the scriptures. I had all the bound volumes and in the ministries and different. I just had everything. It was such a burden to haul that stuff around all the time.
Good for you.
And I just, at a certain point, I just got rid of it all. And that was a big relief.
Good for you.
It really helped me get over it all.
Yeah. Yes. Good for you.
I think at first it's kind of daunting and kind of scary. Like I was reading things and I had to hide the books that I was reading because I was afraid one of our kids was going to come over. Now here's a parent hiding things from their child. I mean, this is like backwards, right? And sure enough, one day our daughter came over. I didn't have any books out, but Joe had his iPad open and it said right there on the front of it something about it was a couple, an XJW. And my daughter looked at it and her eyes got like super big. And then she looked at me and all I did was shrug my shoulders and it's like, yep.
And it was at that point too where basically my family was trying to restrict my reading material.
Yeah.
And I thought, no one ever restricted my reading material. And here I am, 71 years old, 70 years old, whatever. And my children are trying to restrict my reading. I said, something is wrong with this picture.
And the elders try to restrict our reading.
And at that point, it's like, this is not for me.
Yeah. And so how many of us, the very first time we either opened one of the books or we went on one of the sites and our hands were shaking?
Oh,
yeah. It's like, most of us, right?
Yeah.
So getting past that
takes
point,
courage. Takes courage.
And the more we do it, the easier it becomes. Anyone that's new out there and that's on this program and they think that Jehovah's going to strike them dead because they're listening to Rick Fearon's program from apostate capital of the world. No, it's not going to happen. You're going to be happy.
Best decision you ever
You're
made.
going to live. You're going to meet people. And if I can say right now, we have met so many people ever since doing Wendy Renee's program and Rick's program. So we have started this little, oops, upside down. There it is. It's a little black book that I have all the names and addresses of folks that have contacted us. Please feel free to contact us. We give our number here. I put it right there. Please feel free. What we like to do is we like to connect other people with similar interests. We had someone call us today, and right away we're going to connect them with a couple others because they had similar circumstances. One, their wife died of cancer. The other wife died during COVID. They're musicians. They live in the same state.
And the feedback we're getting is that you friends love each other. And it's a beautiful thing to experience.
It is. It
This,
really is.
This is nothing, absolutely nothing of what we experienced while we were in that organization.
No judgment.
This
It's
is the most wonderful thing for us to experience. And I truly am, we are privileged to be a part of it.
Yeah, our family has grown. We've adopted young ones as our children, and they've adopted us as their parents.
You've taken on each other
Yeah.
as loving friends.
Yeah.
And that's what you're showing us.
Yeah, and so that's important, really, to reach out to others.
They are there. Your friends are out there.
Yeah, it hasn't been too long that we've known Marisa just by calling her. And when we take the Outside Story road trip, we're hoping to get to California. There's so many friends that we're meeting in California and all over the country. So we'll keep you posted of that. But April 2nd, we are going to be in Fort Worth or Houston, wherever there's the most people. We would like to do the Outside Story meetup on the road. We'll be there. Gail, from when she comes on at 11 o'clock, she'll be there because she lives in Houston. So we're just trying to find enough people to do a meetup. So please let us know if you'd like either Houston or Fort Worth. We'll make arrangements.
Yeah, Fran has big plans. You got to support her.
Yes.
And support.
Well, we're going to meet all our family, all our new family.
Yeah. No, it's precious.
Does anyone else want to call in? Anyone waiting to call in?
I could just add a quick point, if you would.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Eric, and this organization has hurt both my wife and I pretty bad. We both struggle with alcoholism from our family shunning us, and it's deeper than that. They really have. Our families have, on both sides, have really been a thorn in our flesh. Like they have something to prove that they're right. I've talked to therapists before, and I have successfully have beaten or conquered a demon that I had, to where I was a self-harm cutter, and I would hurt myself with a knife superficially on my arms. It's about 1% of the population, but I was led to believe from the therapist that this was from my mother, who was a pioneer that caused these issues. And the only reason why I'm bringing it up is not for pity or anything like that, but just to show how deep Watchtower can really hurt people. Both my parents were very physical with me and had a chaotic environment that I tried to protect my brother from. And he still has contact with the family, even though he's basically inactive. I'm disfellowshipped, and I have no contact with them. But it just Watchtower's policies are all blowing up in their face. There's nothing but pain from this. The Bible says something about what are the fruits of the labor, and it's been rotten. Yeah. And I just thought I would bring that up to encourage anybody out there that's been hurt by Watchtower and by the influence. The influence from Watchtower gets into our families. Sometimes our families can be the ones that hurt us. But I thought I would just encourage everyone to keep your head up and to realize that we were all brought up in a cult.
Eric, thank you so much. You show us the strength that you're exercising. It's strength that we need as well.
How long have you been out, Eric?
I'm sorry?
How long has it been since you've been out?
Well, I've been to fellowship twice, a total of 3 years the first time, and it's been, I think, a total of 14 years. but so I was a POMI at one point, a physically out, mentally in.
Right.
And now for the last 7 or so years, I've been physically out, mentally out.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, it's
good
good.
for you.
You're healed.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I have a question for that brother. You said you were out 3 years for the first time. Were you trying to get back for those 3 years, or were you just did you just leave for a while?
Stress of all that I went through. I went through. I was abused sexually and physically in the organization, and I escaped with pot. And I just needed a break. And when the elder said in the judicial meeting, what would you do if you were gonna, if the roles were reversed? And I said I would disfellowship me. So that was it. I didn't really think about it, but then I missed my family, so I came back.
Yeah.
And then
it
was basically my family. It was basically for my family.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically what I was trying to ask is, once you were out, you didn't try to go back for some time. So it wasn't like you were going every meeting for 3 years, right?
No, not at all.
Okay. Yeah, my situation, I just want to tell you that it's interesting that they allowed you back after the 3 years so easily. For me, I was attending every single meeting for 3 years, and they still didn't want me back.
Wow.
So that's how
It depends on the brothers. Well, they're no brothers of mine or ours, but it depends on the elders. And this, for me, the first time I got this fellowship, this was going back in early mid-2000s maybe, and it was still somewhat loving. Like like I would get a call from an elder, and I like this guy still to this day. He would call me every 6 months. Do you want to come back? They don't do that anymore. My wife and I, she has 5 reinstatement letters, and I've had 4, and they won't let us back in. And I don't want to be back in, neither of us at this point.
That's good.
Yeah.
Your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
We're with you.
Love you
We're
guys.
with you, brother.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Eric, if you ever want to call, please do. Don't hesitate.
Yeah.
We'd love to talk with you.
And there's others that would love to also.
Yes.
Thanks, guys. Well, I'll be hearing from you.
Good.
Good.
You still, Marissa, are you still there?
I am. I'm still
Okay.
here. I'm just
if you
listening.
want to say anything to anyone,
Yes.
feel free.
I do want to say the quote that I read this week that was lovely was to heal, you have to get to the root of the wound and kiss it all the way up. So I think it's important that no matter who we are, having left that organization, that we really get to the root of some of the things that hurt us, because all of us have varying levels of hurt, as Rick mentioned at the beginning, but we want to make sure we heal them so they don't linger,
Yeah, Rick, I don't know. Rick, are you still there? Rick, do you have that picture? Marissa actually sent it to us. If you have it, I don't know if you can put it up.
I'll get that up. It was in the wrong format, but I still can kind of finagle it here. So just
Okay.
Oh, thank
give me
you.
a second, and I can get it up here for us.
Okay, yeah, no rush. We've got
Okay.
we have about 10 minutes left before
Okay.
Gail comes
Yeah,
on.
Gail comes.
Anyone else want to call in?
Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Could I just interject?
I'm a new caller. Hello, I'm a new caller from faraway land.
Hello.
I just wanted to make a comment.
Sure.
I'm a time caller, and I enjoy the discussion. I just wanted to make a quick comment that I'm recognizing that it's a controlled environment rather than a connected human environment, at least not authentically connected to each other. And there's the destabilizing manipulator in the middle. I feel, Jehovah God doesn't manipulate or destabilize us.
He empowers us with true divine knowledge and unadulterated reality. And I just adore the fact that as completely flawed human beings, we still can fully display and action the beautiful divine quality of love, the highest quality. And I can say that in the last couple of years, I preferred to have had a brave doctor rather than a neutral doctor. And I'm hoping for reformation. So I can just be referred to as Luigina. I'm very nervous, so I'll just sign out now, and I'm enjoying the discussion.
Well, we're
thank you.
so grateful that you called in, Luigina.
Thank you for calling in.
Yes.
And I was nervous the first time I
Yes.
called in too.
She was braver than me.
We were all nervous the first time we called in. So we know you're out there, and Regina.
Luigina.
Luigina. Thank you for calling in. Oh, there's the,
Is that the picture?
yeah, that's the picture. It says, just when the caterpillar thought her life was over, she began to fly. So that's, many of us, we feel that, you know, our life is over, you know, we get out of that cult, but things start to happen, and we really do fly.
We have more power than we realize. We're more than we know. And we need to not only believe it, but we need to see that in the other person. That's the exact opposite of being judgmental. That's looking for that special person in the other when you're looking at that person. When we do that, then, well, we become special too. And everything that I've seen, we're seeing people who we want to be like. We want to be more like you because you've proven yourself special. And I mean
that. Your friend Joe?
Yes.
Yeah, hey, I'm just curious. What's your faith like now? Are you still believers in the Almighty?
Believers in what now?
In God? Are you still believers in God?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, our faith is stronger.
Yeah, as far as names and places where residents, rules, dimensions, etc., we're open to learning. But yeah, as far as belief in God, absolutely. Our faith is stronger. Our faith is stronger than it's ever been.
Oh, do you go to a church?
No, we do not.
A church, that always gives witnesses a weird feeling to have to walk into a church.
You know, we were raised.
Yeah, we're raised Catholic.
We were raised Catholic, and this is a funny thing because there was a Sunday and then on Tuesday right after that, and we were in the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
After not having been in it for a long time. Yeah. The first one, they had a mass for my mother, so okay, we'll go. And then my cousin passed away, and there was the funeral at the Catholic Church, same Catholic Church. Matter of fact, same one that Joe and I got married in. But it was kind of weird being back there and just watching it. You know.
Well, personally, quite
just about a year, right?
Yeah, we've been out a little over a year.
Yeah, honestly, personally,
like 40 years ago. The last time you were in a church?
No, not quite.
No, we went to a wedding.
Yeah,
here and there.
we're open.
Anyway, doesn't it make you feel really weird to go to a church for a wedding or a funeral or anything? They just make you feel so wicked, like you're walking into a.
Yeah. You know, you ask me, and I say, actually, no, it doesn't.
No, I don't feel that way.
That's because it does mess up a lot of people.
It does.
I agree.
I'm sure it does.
I agree, and that's where each person, you know, has to have their their core understanding of reality and of belief. And you have to respect it. I mean, I respect theirs, and you know, each individual has to respect theirs. I in no way can direct or dictate or recommend what a person should do for their faith. No way, no way. But regardless of what their faith is, I'm encouraged by their faith. I don't care what religion they are. I don't care what they look like, sound like, or go or do. If they exercise and exhibit faith, I'm drawn to that person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was a little apprehensive when I first went to a church because we get taught that the only Jehovah's Witnesses use the name of Jehovah and everything like that.
Yes.
But the church that I walked into, they used Jehovah more than the Hall did. And in fact, they had all the names of God, Elohim, they knew them all. And the love that they showed inside that congregation, inside that church, was unbelievable. And it was true. It wasn't just fake one.
There are people that you would love to know. They're people that we would be friends with. I don't, and honestly, I truly don't care what the religion is. We are no different. We're creatures who recognize something special above us.
That's good. What about the psychologist? Was it Marianne? I forget her name.
Marisa.
Still on the line?
Oh, I'm not a psychologist. I'm just a student.
Okay. Oh, now you were in the organization, and you're out now?
Yes, I was in all of my adult life.
Okay, and are you still a believer, or you?
Am I still a witness, or am I still a believer in God?
But still a believer in God, yeah.
Yes, I still believe in God.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish sometimes when the people call in, you would ask them that question, that they went through and they're out now. I wish you would ask them if they're believers in God, if they gave up on God or the organization. I'm always curious. I always want to get in there and ask them that. So, anyway, I enjoy the show very much. Thank you for coming on.
Oh, thank you for commenting too. I think we're getting ready.
Yeah, coming on at 11.
I think a lot of, can I say something? I think a lot of people, when they first get out, they kind of don't believe in God or think he doesn't care, things like that. And I think that's why you see a lot of almost suicidal behavior in witnesses when they get out. They think they're going to die, and maybe they're wrong, and they get into all kinds of bad stuff, drugs and alcohol and depression and terrible things like that, because their my mind is just so messed up after being in that, taught those things from the time you're a little tiny child.
I think if every one of us can be mindful,
reality.
If every one of us in our own area can seek out those that are in that situation, whatever way we can do it. I know it's kind of challenging. How do we connect with people like that? We're going through that in this area. We're trying to figure out how we connect with
I'll tell you one of the things that worked for me is just to get left alone. I just don't want to be bothered with people preaching and religion.
Right. Yeah. Same here.
Preach atheism, and there's just so much preaching, and everyone seems to have the answer to everything.
No, we like questions. We like questions.
Get left alone.
No, we're comfortable with questions.
We get some sound issues going on here. Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
we can, Rick.
We yield the floor to you, Rick.
Well, actually, yeah, we've got. I think we got one more caller. Want to make it in? Then we're going to go to after the storm.
Okay.
One more caller. Want to make it in?
Can I make a comment?
Oh yes, go ahead.
Oh, hi. Hi, Fran. Am I talking to Fran Joe?
Yes.
We're here.
Oh yes, Fran, Joe, hi, Susan.
Hi,
Susan.
Susan.
From an organization that will, I think, will help everybody. If I may, if you can't find a therapist, you can Google NAMI. It's capital N as in Nancy, AMI. It's the National Alliance on Mental Illness. It's a wealth of information and education. It's United States based. Just click on your state and you'll get all kinds of, it has videos, support groups, and community services. I just want to say some statistics about mental illness in Massachusetts alone. There's 1,155,000 adults in Massachusetts that have some kind of mental health condition. And the statistics are staggering on all different age groups. And I want to say that there's barriers out there, because I've been in the mental health field for 30 years, and there's a lot of barriers people are facing to get a therapist. First of all, a lack of therapists. And number two, sometimes waiting, it can take months to even see a therapist.
Yeah.
The second problem that we're having in this state alone is the cost of insurance. Some providers don't accept it. A lot of providers are going private today. So as a result, I believe more and more people are joining support groups, I'm in a support group myself, which I find extremely helpful. And I just want to let us know that there is resources out there for individuals that are suffering, because it's a problem that's growing phenomenally all over the world. And I just wanted to say that. And thank you very much, Fran and Joe.
Oh, thank you,
Susan.
Susan.
Good to hear you.
You're the best.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all for calling in, and we look forward to the next outside story. Thank you, Marisa.
Keep making your outside story.
Yeah, I'd like to follow up with something if I could.
Dick, we have probably about 2 minutes, and that'll have to be it. We got a guest coming on the other program. We want to make sure we accommodate him. So go ahead, Dick. Spend about 2 minutes.
I'll do it real quick. You know, if you listen to Six Screens is Cathartic, and there's a lot of meetup groups, you get with them and you'll feel some relief. There's a lot of good books out there. Index and Watchtower Areas is a good one. Ray Franz's book, Crisis of Conscience, Kingdom of the Cults. There's a lot of good books out there, and a lot of good organizations that'll help you get out of the problems that the Watchtower brings to people. So, prayer and Six Screens. Hey, you're on the way to recovery. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dick.
Well, there you have it. Well, Marisa, thank you very much for wanting to come on Fran and Joe's program tonight. And Fran and Joe, thank you. You did a great job.
You all.
The outside story. So great program. Keep cranking away at it. And we're going to be going now to After the Storm. So stay with us. If you're on YouTube or radio networks, just stay in here with us. And After the Storm is next. And it looks like she's got a very interesting guest. So we're going to be ending this broadcast here. And we'll see you guys on the other side. So we're going to end it right here. But stay with us on YouTube.